Hey guys, it's Melissa Shervington here, and if you don't know by now, my mission in life is to help entrepreneurs to become unstuck from being stuck in the operations of their business and get their business to a place where their business is serving them as opposed to them serving their business, the ultimate freedom. So I recognize that I haven't done a video in quite a while, and I thought I'd just give a quick update video. But not only that, but I'd like to share with you a story that has really derived from a journey that I've been through myself over the past couple of months. So get comfortable, get a cup of tea, press pause, go and grab something and get ready to join me in this story. So for the last couple of months, I recognize that there have been periods of times where I haven't been as present on social media, and there is a reason for this, and the reason is because I personally have been through some challenges which I won't talk about in this video. I may release that further down the line. But yes, so after going through some personal challenges myself and feeling that I needed a little bit of time out to work through that, not only just the challenges, but recognizing that I've had to pivot quite dramatically. So for those of you who may not know, at the beginning of the year, I was promoting my events, which were due out, the Successful Entrepreneurs Seminars. So I had these booked for Birmingham, Nottingham, Coventry, and then I had a 3-day training program booked. I also, being an international trainer, had a lot of training scheduled, which would have involved me traveling quite a bit. And again, naturally, all of that was cancelled overnight. I then had to reframe and pivot and decide to maneuver from being offline into online training programs, which I have been developing in the background and will be launching very, very soon. So we're all human. We're all faced with challenges at different times, and it's how we respond to them that matters. And I just decided to take my foot off the gas, work through what I was working on in the background, work through and grow through my own personal journey, and just take some time to really re-strategize, to think, to read, to digest, to journal, and really have the luxury of being able to do that. So lockdown has brought a lot of benefits. Although it has been a challenge, it's given us the greatest asset that we have, and that is time. So how we've spent our time has been crucial as we're now beginning to come out of lockdown. But as I've been going through this in the background, and by the way, I am back. I went away, but I'm back. So I'm back in full swing now. But I was reflecting on a story that I'd heard quite a while ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago. And at the time it was told by Pastor Michael Ekalugo, who is a great man who I honour and respect so much. I've not seen him for a long time, but I'll never forget the story, and it's probably in the way that he told it, so I hope I do it justice as I share it with you. And it's a story about going through a process of change, a process of renewal, and the pain that can be associated with that. So I'd like to share with you the story of an eagle. Now, for those of you who don't know, eagles generally in the bird kingdom can fly the highest height into the skies compared to other birds. So an eagle will generally live to the age of around 40 years old. And as it's approaching 40, an eagle has to make a decision. Because by the time it reaches 40, you can imagine with age, I mean, I'm not far away from that age now, and I don't have the energy that I had 10 years ago, but that's another story. So you can imagine when you get to that age and you've been flying and you've been catching your prey for all your life, you do begin to become tired and worn out. So what happens to an eagle at this stage is their beak is no longer as sharp as it once was, which means that it has difficulty in catching its prey as it once could. The talons on the eagle, which is basically the talons, its claws, also become blunt. So again, it struggles to catch its prey. Now, if you can't catch your prey effectively, how are you feeding yourself? So these things are vital for the life and for that eagle to continue to go on to live. The other thing that happens is the feathers on the eagle's chest become heavy. So they become stuck to the chest and heavy and begin to weigh that bird down. So the eagle can no longer fly at the heights that it once could. So in essence, the eagle is now going through a phase where it's beginning to die. So the eagle has to make a serious decision. And that decision is a matter of life or death. The eagle has to decide, I'm either going to die and literally just diminish, or I'm going to live. But in order for that eagle to live, it has to go through a very, very painful and lonely process. So not all of the eagles make this decision, but the small percentage of them that do go through this process. And this process can last for up to 5 months. So what happens is the eagle will find the highest point in the mountain that it can. And once it gets to that high mountain point and it finds somewhere to hide and rest, the eagle will start to pluck the feathers from out of its chest. So when I'm saying it plucks the feathers, I'm talking it rips the feathers from out of its chest. So you can imagine it's going through this process where you've got raw flesh and no feathers. Very, very painful. But what happens is eventually those feathers begin to grow back. And when they do grow back, they're lighter and they're new. So it no longer has that issue of its feathers weighing it down. So it can continue to fly at the heights that it could previously. The next step in the process is the eagle will bang and bash against a rock its beak and keep bashing its beak until its beak comes off. Again, can you imagine the pain that is involved in that process of ripping its beak off? It's raw, it's exposed, it's sore, but once again, over a period of time, a new beak will begin to grow and form and grow to its fullness. The other thing that the eagle will do is rip every single one of its talons out. The thought of that, I mean, for me, that's worse than the beak and the feathers. I don't know why, but the thought of it's almost like ripping your fingernails off. The pain. So you can imagine, once again, the pain that eagle's having to go through. You think about the mental process of thinking, right, I'm going to now rip my talons, my beak and my feathers out. You know, it has to go through that process. But again, like its beak and its feathers, the talons regrow and they grow into new fresh talons that are sharp, just like its beak, and can catch prey effectively. So one thing that's vital as well in this process is the fact that the eagle is alone and it's in a high place and it's hidden. So why would that be? The reason is because when you're going through a process of change, you are vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you are open to predators. So when that eagle is hidden and it's going through the painful process where it's in agony, it's in pain, it's raw, it's vulnerable. If he was attacked, he couldn't fight back. No beak, no talons, no feathers. Where are you going? You can't run, you can't fly. Well, you can fly, but you wouldn't be effective. So you can imagine why it's important for that eagle to hide itself away so it can go through this process and come out stronger. So what happens is when the eagle has gone through that process, that eagle can fly higher than it ever could before. It can catch prey like it could never before. And that eagle will then go on to live until approximately 70 years of age. So it's almost doubled its lifespan. Now, why do I share this with you? Because often, just like I've had to go through a process of going through a bit of a renewal myself, so in life, there's times when you have to make decisions. And change, most human beings generally do not like or embrace change because change is often associated with pain. So let's take a lesson from the eagle. When you allow yourself, or when you push yourself to go through that change, and when you make that decision, which is key, when you make that decision that actually, just like the eagle, I am going to live, and I'm going to live in a different way. I am going to soar higher than I ever once could in my old age. I am going to be able to catch my prey in a way that I never once could. But to make that decision, you have to acknowledge that it's going to be tough. You are going to have to go through a process in isolation where you're vulnerable, where you don't know if you're actually even going to make it through, but there's something inside you that is pushing you to know that this is the process that I have to go through. You're alone. How do you feel? You don't have anybody next to you to keep lookout for you, to protect you. You don't have anybody to share how you're feeling with. You're going through this process alone, but you're in a safe place. How can we apply this to our lives? Sometimes you have to make a decision that is going to cause you pain. Sometimes you have to lock yourself away in a safe space because you're vulnerable. Sometimes you have to get your head mentally around the process that you're going to go through and endure before you've even done it, because it starts in the mind. And often along your journey in business, there will come times where you have to re-strategize. 2020 has been a year of change. Whether we've liked it or not, we've had to embrace it. But many people have not walked in that walk of, I am embracing this change and I know it's painful. I've seen too many people put their head in the sand and just wait for this change to happen so they can re-emerge. But when they re-emerge, will they be stronger than they were before? Will they be able to catch their prey or attract new clients or retain their clients in a way or better than they could before? Because unless we go through a process of change, nothing changes. And whilst change is painful, the joy that you get once you've gone through that change, it's worth it. Focus on the outcome. If you're going through a phase where you feel as though you need to go through a process of change and you recognize that you're feeling in a strange place where you know you need to re-emerge, and you know there's more greatness in you, where you may have arrived at a place just like the eagle when it gets to 40, where you feel like you're a little rusty or you're not quite sure, make the decision to live. And when I say live, I mean make the decision to go through a process that is going to take you to the next level. But we know that process doesn't come easily. We know that process requires mental preparation as well as physical preparation. Where will you be going through this process of change? Just like the eagle would have scouted out where it's going in the mountain, at the top of that mountain, where do you need to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually in that place? Where is that place that you need to reside in order to go through this process of change? This is a story that came to surface for me because I've been going through a process of change, and that story really encouraged me and empowered me when I initially heard it by Pastor Michael. And years on, that story is still with me, and I still apply this story to my daily life. And if you know me and you're listening to this, you most likely, if you know me well, would have heard me share this story before, because there's such power in it, and there's so much that we can learn from the eagle and the process that it's gone through. So if you are ready and you are willing to embrace change, and you are ready and you're willing to go through the pain that is associated with change, just know when you come out of that process, you will be stronger, you will be wiser, you will be more effective, and you'll be more resilient than you ever once was before. Embrace that change and go ahead and be the best version of you. Be the most successful entrepreneur that you can possibly be, but it might require you going to that mountaintop, hiding away and going through that process first. If you want to talk or share anything with me related to this, then please do drop me a DM, send me an email at melissa@melissashervington.com, and I'm happy to have these conversations, because this is a vital part of your entrepreneurial journey, and there will be different times along your journey that will require you to go through change and stretch yourself. My message to you is embrace it. and go through it, because when you come out, you'll be shining like a diamond. Take care, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.